The Super El Niño of 2026 has begun, and scientists around the world are closely monitoring one of Earth's most powerful climate forces. Across the Pacific Ocean, unusually warm waters are already altering the atmosphere, setting in motion changes that could influence floods, droughts, wildfires, crop harvests, and temperatures across entire continents. Previous major El Niño events have brought widespread disruption to millions of lives across the globe. Now, as another potentially powerful event unfolds, governments and communities are preparing for what comes next. The question now is which parts of the world will be hit the hardest, and how far the consequences will spread. So what exactly is El Niño, and why is everyone so worried about it? To answer that question, we need to look at the Pacific Ocean, one of the most influential bodies of water on Earth. Covering more than 1/3 of the Earth's surface, the Pacific stores enormous amounts of heat and acts as one of the planet's most important climate regulators. Weather systems around the world are connected to what happens in this ocean, particularly along the equator, where winds and ocean currents interact in a delicate balance. Under normal conditions, strong trade winds blow from east to west across the tropical Pacific, pushing warm surface water toward Indonesia and Australia, where ocean temperatures are typically highest. Meanwhile, along the west coast of South America, colder water rises from the depths in a process known as upwelling. This circulation pattern helps regulate temperatures, rainfall, and atmospheric conditions across much of the world. However, this system does not remain constant. The Pacific naturally cycles between different phases, known collectively as the El Niño Southern Oscillation, or ENSO. These phases include El Niño, La Niña, and neutral conditions. During La Niña, trade winds strengthen and push more warm water toward the western Pacific. During El Niño, the opposite occurs. The trade winds weaken, allowing warm water to spread eastward across the central and eastern Pacific Ocean. Because the Pacific is so vast, even a few degrees of warming release enormous amounts of energy. As warm water spreads eastward, more heat is released into the atmosphere. This alters atmospheric circulation, shifts rainfall patterns, influences storm development, and changes weather systems across entire continents. Regions that are normally wet can experience drought, while typically dry regions may face severe flooding. This is why El Niño is considered one of Earth's most powerful climate phenomena. It is not a storm or a single disaster, but a global climate force capable of influencing weather patterns for billions of people. Most El Niño events pass with limited disruption, but every so often, a powerful El Niño emerges, bringing consequences that can be felt around the world. Before we continue, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and like this video, as it's the best way to support this channel. Powerful El Niño events have repeatedly left their mark on human history. The events of 1982 to 83 and 1997 to 98 remain among the strongest ever recorded, bringing catastrophic flooding to parts of South America and severe droughts across Asia and Australia. More recently, the world experienced another major El Niño during 2023 and 2024. That event peaked as one of the 5 strongest El Niño events on record and coincided with some of the highest global temperatures ever observed. Ocean temperatures reached record levels in many regions, with global sea surface temperatures climbing to a record 21.06 degrees Celsius in February 2024. Coral reefs around the world experienced widespread bleaching as marine ecosystems struggled with the heat. The impacts were felt across multiple continents. Heavy rainfall triggered flooding and landslides in parts of South America, while drought conditions in Southeast Asia placed pressure on agriculture and water supplies. Extreme heat affected numerous countries, and weather patterns became increasingly unpredictable. The 2023-24 El Niño demonstrated the global influence of a warming Pacific and showed that even with advanced monitoring, societies remain vulnerable to major climate disruptions. Many scientists now believe the event unfolding in 2026 could become even more severe. Throughout 2026, scientists have closely monitored the tropical Pacific and the warning signs have become increasingly clear. Ocean temperatures across key parts of the equatorial Pacific have continued to rise, with some forecasts suggesting anomalies could exceed 2 degrees Celsius above average, placing it among the strongest El Niño events ever observed. Unusually warm waters now stretch across thousands of miles of the tropical Pacific. At the same time, the trade winds that normally help maintain the Pacific's balance have weakened. Atmospheric conditions are already responding to the warming ocean, creating a feedback loop that can reinforce El Niño development. Satellite observations, ocean buoys, and climate monitoring systems all point to the same conclusion. A major El Niño event is now underway. The concern is not simply that El Niño exists, but the strength of the developing event and the potential consequences that could follow. The warming is widespread, the atmosphere is responding, and ocean heat reserves remain substantial. What makes El Niño particularly challenging is that its impacts rarely remain confined to the Pacific. Changes in ocean temperatures can trigger cascading effects throughout the global climate system, shifting rainfall patterns, altering storm tracks, and increasing the risk of drought in some regions, while intensifying flooding in others. That process has already begun. Around the world, governments, meteorologists, agricultural agencies, and emergency planners are monitoring conditions closely and preparing for the worst. Some of the earliest and most severe impacts of El Niño are often felt along the Pacific coast of South America. During strong El Niño events, countries such as Peru and Ecuador can experience intense rainfall. In 1997, Peru suffered some of the worst flooding in its modern history, triggering landslides and widespread infrastructure damage. Similar flooding could occur again if the current event continues to strengthen. Further north, the effects can extend into North America. During the 1997 El Niño, California experienced severe winter storms, flooding, and coastal erosion, as powerful Pacific systems repeatedly battered the state. Similar shifts in storm tracks could once again affect parts of North America. Australia is often among the regions most vulnerable to El Niño-related drought. During the 1982 El Niño, the devastating Ash Wednesday bushfires swept across southeastern Australia, becoming one of the deadliest wildfire disasters in the country's history. If dry conditions and heat intensify again, bushfire risks could rise significantly. Southeast Asia faces similar challenges. During the 2016 El Niño, severe drought and heat contributed to massive forest fires in Indonesia, blanketing much of the region in hazardous smoke. Reduced rainfall in 2026 could once again strain agriculture, reservoirs, and water supplies. India is another region closely watched during El Niño years. A weaker monsoon can reduce crop yields, increase irrigation demands, and place pressure on food production and water resources that support hundreds of millions of people. Across Africa, impacts can vary significantly by region. Some areas may face drought conditions that threaten food security and livestock production, while others experience heavier rainfall and increased flood risk. During the 2016 El Niño, severe drought across southern Africa affected crop production and left millions of people in need of food assistance. Floods and droughts often dominate discussions about El Niño, but many of its most significant impacts occur indirectly. One of the biggest concerns is wildfire activity. During the 2016 El Niño, severe drought fueled massive forest fires across Indonesia, blanketing much of Southeast Asia in smoke. Similar dry conditions can also increase bushfire risk in Australia and parts of the Amazon basin. Food security is another major concern. Reduced rainfall in key agricultural regions can affect rice production in Southeast Asia, crop yields in India, and food availability across parts of Africa. Because global food markets are interconnected, disruptions in one region can quickly influence food prices around the world. Water and energy supplies can also come under pressure. Lower rainfall may reduce reservoir levels, strain drinking water systems, and limit hydroelectric power generation in countries that rely heavily on seasonal rainfall and river flows. Marine ecosystems face their own challenges. During the 2024 El Niño, coral reefs around the world experienced significant bleaching as elevated ocean temperatures stressed ecosystems that support fisheries, tourism, and coastal protection. Even volcanic regions can face additional hazards. El Niño does not cause eruptions, but heavy rainfall can trigger dangerous lahars around volcanoes, threatening nearby communities. Many scientists also believe climate change may amplify some of these impacts. Higher temperatures can intensify heat waves, while a warmer atmosphere can increase the severity of extreme rainfall events. Taken together, these risks reveal why El Niño is often described as a disaster multiplier, increasing the likelihood of multiple hazards occurring simultaneously across different parts of the world. Scientists will continue monitoring the Pacific using satellites, ocean buoys, and climate models as the event evolves. The question is no longer whether El Niño exists, but how strong it becomes and how long it lasts. What is already clear is that the Pacific has entered a new phase and the atmosphere is responding. The Super El Niño of 2026 could become one of the defining climate stories of the decade. Unlike many natural disasters, El Niño announces its arrival months in advance. The challenge now is whether the world will use that warning before the full consequences begin to unfold,